Show presents The Covers Face Off.
Who did it first? Who did it best? Which version is superior?
The Covers Face Off. Face Off. Face Off.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Covers Podcast. Actually, it's not the Covers Podcast.
Covers.
It's
Face Off.
Face Off. Face Off. The Scratch a Track Podcast with a Covers Face Off presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I'm not Grim. He is not Dude. You know who we are. Today, my friend, we're going to talk about a man for his, time and place, right?
You know, he was the man for his time and place, and playing a really complicated instrument, being the tambourine.
Yes.
So,
And
Mr. Tambourine Man, by Bob Dylan, of course, and the cover version,
Bob Dylan.
Yeah, the cover version by the Byrds with a Y.
Why? Do you know what their name was before they decided to change it to the Byrds, Grim?
The regulars or the new originals?
The originals, the regulars. Apparently, it was Jet Set. So I think it's a good thing that they changed it. So legend has it that the original members, it was three of them.
Roger McGuinn, probably.
Yes, Crosby.
It was Crosby, and then
another dude.
I don't know who the other dude would be.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, man. But I guess when they added in the drummer,
yeah,
and so Michael Clark and then Chris Hillman to the band, they changed their name to the Byrds apparently. So
that was a smart. I just think it sticks a lot better.
It does.
Just has more ring to it.
It does. It could be confused with the Yardbirds, but I don't think so.
Oh, interesting.
Birds,
well, that's why they went with the Y. That's why they went with the Y.
And also the apostrophe after the S. I mean, you can't leave that out.
Wait, what? They have an apostrophe
after the S.
So it's like possessive, like the Byrds, like they own it. The Byrds.
Dude, I'm pretty sure, man. Let me look at them. Oh man,
I kind of like. Oh yeah, dude, right there it says the Byrds is. Oh, I think that's because in this instance they're talking about it's their version of the song.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because I'm looking at their album covers, don't see the apostrophe.
But I kind of like the idea of a band's name that ends in an S with having the apostrophe after it, so it's just possessive all the time.
We possess ourselves.
Yeah. That's great.
We possess ourselves. Okay. Well, moving on. Obviously, I failed fucking 8th grade English. So,
dude. In such an awesome way. That was wonderful.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to pat myself on the back. So, anyways, yes, Bob Dylan, he was the original writer of this song, and it's off his album, Bringing It All Back Home. Now, that's the album we have discussed Bob Dylan, or maybe we'll be discussing him on Wednesday when Highway 61 comes out, maybe. Okay.
But we do kind of touch on that album because that was like his bridge to going full electric. And this song was the first song on the quote unquote acoustic side of the album, Bringing It All Back Home, which had an acoustic and an electric side.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people have covered this too.
Yeah,
like the two that popped out to me were Judy Collins and Stevie Wonder. I haven't heard his version.
Oh, I don't know that I have either.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting take. And I didn't realize that this song, it's touched a lot of people, and people have really kind of delved into it and sort of like its meaning. And I guess people have done that with a lot of Dylan songs just because his lyrics and I guess you could almost call it poetry in a way is just it's so visual, and it leaves a lot open for interpretation. So I think that's something people like to do. But Hunter S. Thompson,
okay,
he dedicated. I mean, his most popular work is probably Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, but he dedicated not only that novel to Dylan, but to Dylan and this song. I mean, that speaks kind of volumes. And it was also played at Hunter Thompson's funeral.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. When they shot him out of the hand cannon.
His ashes. Yeah, Johnny Depp paid for that. I think it was over $1 million to have that done.
Well worth it. I mean, dude,
he's like, that's 8 minutes of a Pirates of the Caribbean movie for him. So
that's just so worth it. And it's interesting that somehow that made it into this. I love it.
There's so many connections, isn't it?
Dude.
6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what's the movie, dude? With Dustin Hoffman and Lily Tomlin.
Rain Man.
No. And Lily Tomlin.
Oh, Huckabees.
Yeah.
Huckabees.
And everything's connected. Huckabees. Everything's connected. The universe is the blanket. You know.
It's the blanket.
Yeah.
I'm in the blanket. Yes.
So anyways,
everything's the same, dude. Everything's the same, even if it's different.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Wow. Now, we've managed to go from 8th grade English to Fear and Loathing to Huckabees. Maybe we should talk about the songs.
Yeah. Well, one thing I thought was interesting is that he was originally going to record this for his album Another Side of Bob Dylan, and he did a version where Ramblin' Jack Elliott, which Ramblin' Jack Elliott, once we do a Chris Christopherson album, I do like the fact that he's talking about who inspired him to write this song, and he goes, Ramblin' Jack Elliott had a lot to do with it. But anyways, Ramblin' Jack Elliott sang harmony on this version that he was going to use for Another Side of Bob Dylan, but apparently it wasn't exactly in tune, and so they kind of just let it go.
I'd heard the same thing. And I don't want to bridge too far into, I think we still need to talk about Dylan's version a little bit, but apparently the version that the Byrds listened to, I believe they got some sort of bootleg copy of that version, the previously recorded version. That's the one that was played for them by their manager, who they said, hey, we should, maybe you should think about doing the song.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they weren't exactly taking it. Yeah. Because I think if I have my timing right, it was in early '64, and it was before Dylan would have recorded the newer version. So I'm pretty sure that's correct. But
wow. Well, I'm seeing theirs is released on April 12th of '65, and Bringing It All Back Home was released in
Dylan's March.
So. I mean, even if that's a month is not a lot of time to be like, oh, this is a great album. I like this song. Let's cover it, learn it, go into the studio,
Yeah.
Cut out 90% of the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's only sing one verse. But
yeah. But I can understand that. And this is where, when we were talking before, and I said this was going to be kind of an interesting one for me, I see elements of each one that I really like.
Okay.
Right? I love, because the song's kind of dreamy, right? It's kind of just like dreamy and ethereal.
Because I am dreaming and there is no place I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is.
Yeah,
it
true.
has,
true.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that lyric, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So to me, that lends itself very well to the way the Byrds play it, with having harmonies, number one. And then number two, like McGuinn's electric 12-string guitar, just that jangly kind of, just a really good sound. And I think for me, their part of it, like their chorus part of it is excellent. Like the Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. But
it's really good.
You cannot mess with like Dylan's delivery on those verses, like of the lyrics. Sure. He just has such a good cadence and a good sound about his voice, where if somehow they could have combined these two things, in
one, yeah. But then neither would probably have made as much money. So
truth.
There is
Truth.
But well, it's this is actually one of the songs that Dylan played when he was at the Newport Folk Festival. So he went out, and that's, of course, as we talked about, and we'll talk about more, when the fans started getting pissed at him because he went electric.
Yeah.
He actually stopped playing. I guess at the festival, he stopped playing electric, and he ended up playing a couple of just regular acoustic-ish songs. And he did Mr. Tambourine and Mr. Tambourine Man, and It's All Over Now, Baby Blue. So he was fine. Like, fine, all right, you guys are gonna boo me. I'll just play whatever you want. So
those are good choices.
They are. It is interesting that first of all, Dylan's version is over 5.5 minutes. Their version is at 2.5 minutes. So they made a conscious decision to make it very radio friendly. That was part of what they wanted. Definitely.
Well,
what
sure.
their goal was.
And the thing is they sang it so much slower. Like their cadence was just a lot slower with the song. But you're right. If they would have done every verse, you'd be looking at like a 6-7 minute song.
Yeah. If they were going to sing it that slow, for sure. But they do it. I mean, it's such an iconic sound, and many people have, I don't know if I'd say, I almost say it influenced. I mean, people like, you talk about Sonny and Cher, Mamas and Papas, Simon and Garfunkel, all just those harmonies. Like that's what they're really known for. And Crosby then, of course, took that into Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then and Young. Yep. That was their kind of calling card.
Well, yeah,
like
that
kind of like the Wet
Bandit. Yeah. All the great ones leave their mark.
The great leave their mark.
But between that and there's something about McGuinn's 12 string that is really iconic for the Byrds too, and they used it on everything, but it is part of that sound, and it's a great sound.
Now I have a question for you, because they're singing in harmonies. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, right? But then is he? But then I guess during what is it, the verse or the chorus? Like, is he? There's a single voice singing.
I think it's just
him?
McGuinn. Yeah, I think that's just Roger McGuinn singing the verses.
Okay. I figured it was
the verse.
The verse, yeah, the verse. Yeah. Well, so one thing that I don't know if you saw this, but apparently the producer, his name is Terry Melcher, he did not have confidence, because I think the Byrds had just formed, and he didn't have confidence in their musicianship. So the only thing that was used from them of actual playing and singing of the song was his 12 string. And then the other parts were performed by this kind of a collection of LA studio musicians called the Wrecking Crew. They put in all the other parts.
Wait, so that was just him singing in his 12?
Him singing the 12 string, and then they have the harmonies, and then all the other parts are this band called the Wrecking Crew.
Well, yeah, okay, so it's funny you bring up the Wrecking Crew, because one thing that I did want to say, so in our last covers face-off, we talked about Martha and the Vandellas, and I brought up the Funk Brothers. The Wrecking Crew is the LA equivalent of what the Funk Brothers were. The Funk Brothers being more funky for sure. But the Wrecking Crew, and again, an amazing documentary out there on the Wrecking Crew. Absolutely fantastic. And I believe it's just called The Wrecking Crew. But I mean, you talk about Sonny and Cher, you talk about all these classic hits from this time. Dude, the Wrecking Crew is the goddamn band on Pet Sounds. Like, all that is the Wrecking Crew and the Beach Boys voices. Because that was Brian Wilson's concept, is that he felt like the studio musicians could better bring his musical vision to light than the band could, because they didn't have the talent and the wherewithal to do what was in his head. But the Wrecking Crew did, so he would chart out music. So yeah, that actually doesn't surprise me. Really,
that's pretty cool.
But
dude, we should do like a Wrecking Crew Funk Brothers face off or something like that. That would be kind of cool.
Man, dude, I'm telling you, when you watch that documentary, there are so many songs. We're gonna talk about another cover coming up. These boots are made for walking.
Oh, yeah.
And the Wrecking Crew was also the band behind that one. And, dude, that iconic bass intro of just the doom, 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 walking down on that bass. I mean, they are behind so many songs you would literally shit your pants, bro.
Damn. Well, well, for everyone running out to get diapers now, what do you prefer a version? I mean, I know you said earlier it'd be great if you could kind of mix them together, and I'm sure somebody out there is, if they haven't done it, they will do it after listening to this episode, do a mashup. But
the interesting thing what would make that difficult is the fact that the Byrds version and Dylan's version are not only in a different key signature, but a different tempo as well. So that would be tough. Yeah. But it's hard because
I'm not a musician.
I really like the Byrds version for how it feels. Like what they did with the Wrecking Crew with like the tambourine through an echo, and like that musical landscape sounds really good to me for this song. But Dylan's delivery of the lyrics,
I know
on the verses, man. Like his delivery of the lyrics is too good, and the fact that, I mean, hell, the Byrds version cuts out everything but the first verse.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. It's tough. I can't necessarily say which one I really prefer. I mean, I think it's great because they're both very different, and so I think can definitely stand on their own. I mean, I guess if pressed, I would probably go with Dylan's version. And I think part of it is because he does have more verses in it.
And the lyrics are so good.
Yeah, the lyrics are so good. Absolutely. But then the Byrds, those harmonies.
I know.
It's hard. I love me a good harmony.
I know,
harmony
dude.
with harmony.
And that electric 12 in that whole musical landscape that they create is just... It's really dreamy, and it sounds like some of the words, like we've talked about that a lot. It's like a Stauffer would always talk about this idea of word painting, and that kind of to me is that idea of word painting.
I got that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Shout out, man. We got a lot of shout outs on this one.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. We talked about some movies. It was pretty cool too. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up another episode of the Covers Face Off on the Scratch a Track podcast, presented by the Dude and Grim Show. Yes. You know him and you know me. So next time, folks, I think we're going to be switching it up a little bit. We're going to have a new little concept for you. I hope you're ready for it.
Yeah.
And if not, it's just going to blow your mind. But
it's big.
It is pretty cool.
It's big.
It's big. Muy grande.
Real big.
Big. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Please like, please subscribe. Please write reviews, comments.
Signing out.
Tell your friends.
The Covers Face Off
is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by More. That's ... MORE, and the Tims, TIMNZ. Copyright 2020. The Dude and Grim Show.